Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with the House of Dragon, Season 2, Episode 5 on deck. Nels, how you doing?
Yeah. Never had a bad day in my life.
There you go. Episode 5. What are your my thoughts, your thoughts? Who goes first?
You go first, because you're the one that hasn't read. We'll say that up front. Jeff has not read Fire and Blood. I have. Jeff is pretty well versed in all the other Game of Thrones stuff, books and TV show. There will be no spoilers for what's going to happen in the future of the show, what happens in the future of Fire and Blood. But yeah, Jeff, as the non-Fire and Blood reader, what'd you think of Episode 5, House of the Dragon?
It's one of those where, again, you're coming off one of the, it's just like fall out from a great episode, right? So I would be curious to go back through all of our favorite Game of Thrones episodes, like, oh, that was a great one, like Battle of the Bastards and the Battle of the Wall and the Red Wedding. Like, what actually happened after all of them? It's probably very similar to this, right? Like, it's just a lot of people reacting to it.
That's what I was saying. Like, when I was like getting into the episode, I was just thinking to myself, like, dang, I hope this isn't like just a episode-long reaction to Rhaenys' death.
Which it basically was.
And it wasn't quite. There was a little more happening, but I feel like at least half or more was pretty solid on that. And I get it. Like, it's not like I don't like Rhaenys. Rhaenys was an awesome character, and her death deserved some mourning. It just like episode 1 was mourning Luke's death. Episode 2 was mourning, that ends with blood and cheese. Episode 2 was mourning Jaehaerys' death. The kid that got killed in blood and cheese. And I just feel like we have entire episodes being spent on that. We've had one episode of action. Yeah. And I get it. In the books, it's pretty much just saying, like, oh, this army, like, this family was declaring for this side. This family was declaring for this side. And we're kind of seeing that. Like, that's kind of happening here. But, I don't know. It's just, like...
No, there's definitely some things, like, I enjoyed... One of my complaints last time was that we didn't spend enough time with Damon and Rhaenyra. We definitely got more time with that. And I still feel like we got enough Alicent. Maybe we didn't get enough Aemon. But I feel like that was plenty. Like, we kind of know his motives.
Yeah, I feel like we've been getting a little more green than black anyway, and I feel like this was a little more black-centric side.
Yeah, yeah. I Damon and what's going on there is just confusing as all hell, which we'll just get into it as we go.
Yeah.
Is just tell me one thing, like, in the book, does it say Damon's going crazy at Harrenhal?
No, he's, like, gathering an army for Rhaenyra. I'm interested to see how they play this off, because I'm sure they'll make it somehow emerge the same.
Rhaenyra's gonna have to do something cool. I think if she's gonna win him back over, it's kind of cool that it's going back to my original thought of that these two were the ones that were. There really is kind of a third fight now, right? Of the Dance of the Dragon, and I
think this episode they really solidified the Blacks have an issue inside themselves with this whole Rhaenyra versus Damon thing, but also the Greens do too, right? Because we have Aegon, who's in a coma, and now we have Aemon, who like isn't saying much, but you can kind of tell, like, when they're like, "Okay, you're in charge," he's like, "Okay, yeah, finally you guys came to that conclusion. I knew it was going to be like this the whole fucking." When I told Vhagar to Jacary's Aegon last episode, I knew this is what it would eventually be. I'm just letting the rest of you idiots figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So we kind of had that whole like Aegon versus Aemon and Rhaenyra versus Damon thing. I feel like on both sides. And Alicent a little bit too, yeah, for sure.
And it's cool that they're giving the voices to some of the younger people, like Jace and Baela have. I think Baela had a really cool episode just from what she brings to the table. It's a shame she has to die next.
I mean, you've been saying that since before Rhaenys.
Since like episode 3, whatever.
Yeah, I'm saying you're already wrong though.
Yeah. She's up there though. I mean, her.
That's why they're focused on her now.
You know what? There's just more people on the black side that can die, right? On the green side, you really only have Aemon that's a fighter, and Kristen Cole. Like, who gives? Like, anybody's like. I think even the green side's
I feel like they're trying to introduce Alicent's brother,
Gawain. Yeah,
he's been getting some talking lines, but yeah, you're right. I think black has more for sure.
We got like the black, you're like, oh, we got Jace, we got Baela, Rhaena. What's she doing with like? And I know there's a Daron, right, that's out there and about that we'll probably see at some point.
I think people think he's not going to come in until next season because I don't think we know about any casting for him. Like, they think he's going to come in because he's been mentioned, but I don't think we know any casting. I'm just hoping it's like a really well-known actor? Like, what if it's like Dustin from Breaking Bad? Or not Breaking Bad, Stranger Things.
Stranger Things?
Like, what if it's, you know what I mean? And they just somehow kept like a really like, I don't even know if that age would be right, but you know what I mean? Like, they just kept like a really well-known actor hidden, and he's gonna pop off like next episode. I kind of am hoping, because like the way the timeline's working, they could move I could see his entrance happening this season or next season. I think I know where this season's gonna end now, and I could see them introducing him pre or post. So I don't know. I think most people think post just because we haven't heard casting, but we're dilly-dallying. Let's get into going scene by scene. We can talk about some of those as we go through.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, let's give our rating.
One of the things I'd like to think about or ask you about: what does your wife think as a person who has no idea Game of Thrones?
She was. I don't think she really cared for it. She just kind of watched. And I don't think it's one that like she was folding laundry. Like she probably paid more attention to the laundry.
Yeah, she didn't even know who was who half the time. Probably. I feel like that's a problem for like really casual fans.
And another problem just with the Targaryens, because it's funny because you see the memes on it. It's just a name thing, which I've talked about. And well, as we read through the books, like I'm like, that's Rhaenys' dragon. She's like, wait, that's Rhaenyra's dragon. I'm like, no, Rhaenys. She's like, what is that? Rhaenyra's? And I'm like, Danny, I just said it was Rhaenys. Like, come on, this is the same name. So it's just.
I feel like they even joke about that a little bit in the episode here, like when all the small folk are trying to rush for the gates. And the Gold Cooks close the gates. They're like on order of Aemon.
Yeah.
And they're like, do they mean Aegon? It's like, what if small folk says that? So it's like, I think they're playing at that.
I'm going to give this a 5.7.
Yeah, I think this is pretty weak. I did like some of the Damon Harrenhal stuff. It's one of the things that like me rewatching some of the Damon Harrenhal stuff could really turn it around depending on if there's like a lot of stuff I missed. But yeah, I would say probably 6. I would say 6-1.
All right, so we're starting on Driftmark. Corlys is slowly walking to the throne, and he cries.
Yep, Corlys is sad.
Rhaenyra looks out sad over the ocean as well.
Rhaenyra is also sad. Yep.
Sad people. They lost a good one.
We're sad. Yeah, Rhaenyra's died. We're sad about it.
It sounds like just from the social media outcry that people really cared for Rhaenys, the queen who never was.
Yeah, I think the fans liked her.
They were like, oh, she popped off. Like, I don't know. Like it was like, oh, she deserved more. Like, I don't know anything more about her than what I've seen. So
the biggest complaint I've seen is that, like I said, and I kind of explained this in the last episode, that in the books, all 3 of the dragons, it's kind of like a 2v1. And what it says about Rhaenys is the line is like she realized it was a 2v1, and like with a glad cry and the crack of her whip, she went in anyway. Which they kind of do with that whole like her turning around thing twice.
Yeah, she kind of did it like sadly and reluctantly. You wanted her to go out like as a badass. You're saying? Well, not that she didn't go out as a badass. I'm saying like with like a attack Mayleaf.
Well, just like if you look at the outcomes in the books, she goes in on a 2v1, and yes, she dies, but she pretty much like she doesn't quite kill Aegon, but she's pretty close.
You want her to have the credit for Aegon and Sunfire.
I think a lot of I felt fine with it, but a lot of people were like, Aemon did more damage to Aegon than Rhaenys did. So like, what did she really do? Nothing. She just showed up and died.
Gotcha.
I didn't really see it that way, but that was a big complaint that I saw. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, I think it was good.
I think it's hard to get attached to any of the characters in the book because it's a history book. It's like when you read about George Washington dying in history class, you're not like crying about it. You're like, oh man, that sucked. He was a good guy. But it's like, I don't know. That's kind of how I see Fire and Blood. It's like, it's more emotional seeing it on screen.
He died like an old man, though.
You know what I mean? It's more emotional seeing it on screen than it is reading about Fire and Blood.
Moving on. People in the market seeing Mayleaf's head getting brought through. They give Aegon the credit. They're weirdly just pulling him behind in a... This is when I knew he was alive. When I actually, after I thought about it more, I was like, he can't be dead, right? He should be dead. And
yeah.
So I saw a post that Sunfire wrapped him up in her or his wings. I don't know what Sunfire gender, in their wings, and shielded him from the majority of the fall. But like that fall kills everybody 100 times out of 100.
I mean, first off, he should be strapped in. Like the dragon, they have like they showed Rhaenys his like saddle.
Right. She's strapped. He
should have been strapped in. Like he might have unstrapped himself and then like got like after the fall. Who knows? But yeah, like he should have been strapped in. And like, yes, you shouldn't be able to fall from that high and survive. But even if your dragon's fucked up, if they put their wings out, that's pretty much just like a big parachute. So you're still going to come in hot, but you're going to come in at
saw Sunfire fall. There was an explosion after Sunfire fell in like an earthquake. So
all the
stop
trees,
with
like,
that.
all the trees.
Stop with it.
Yeah.
So he should be dead. He's not. Fine. He will die soon. He's
not going to brand this. We've seen people come out of comas before in these days.
Well, I think he's like kind of even out. Like he's trying to say a word at the end of his last scene. I don't even know what he said, but
did he? He was one of the.
He's just gonna be. I think he's gonna be. And the problem is like you just scroll through whatever you're scrolling through, you're gonna see something. He might just be a vegetable. I don't know. I think he should die. He might just sit there and let Aemon be King Rhysford or whatever the word they use. People don't like it. I wasn't like expecting their reaction to the head being drawn through. Like, oh my god, this is Black Omen. I thought they would have been like cheering that shit on, like, oh my god, like we're gonna win this thing type of thing. Like we can kill dragons now, and they were like terrified.
I forget, how did they react when they did the funeral for Jaehaerys? Were they all like, oh yeah, fuck Rhaenyra, or was that only just like one or two people yelling out?
No, I think most of them were like, oh my gosh, like how could she, like let me touch you, Helena. Like they were for the green side.
It's weird.
They were riding hard green side. Now it's like hard, this is a bad thing to do.
It's a quick flip. I mean, you did have the hanging of the rat catchers, which they had the scene that the Smallfoot didn't like that. But yeah, I don't know. Is that enough?
And I think you get more of it that like there's even less food, right?
Yeah, food.
They're struggling hard. So it's like kind of like what we see with Joffrey, that like once the people only care about is being like living well, right? They don't care who's at the throne.
Yep.
But yeah, I was just shocked that like they never saw a dragon die. Like there's obviously been dragons that have died.
Well, there's been 80 years of peace.
Have they just all been on the same side? I'm just saying, even in the history, like obviously a dragon. Have they all died from old age up to this point?
Balerion the Black Dread. I think he did die of old age. And then the other one is, you see, there is a skull at Dragonstone that Rhaenyra stands in front of at a couple.
Meraxes.
I think a lot of people think that's Meraxes because there's a big hole in the eyeball, and we hear that one died during Aegon's conquest via Scorpion to the eye.
That's what I'm saying. Like
kind of a spoiler if we ever get an Aegon's conquest show.
But I don't care. But they've known that a dragon can be killed. Like they were kind of shocked, like, oh my god, you can kill a dragon. Like read a book one time, kid.
Yeah.
Gwaine mentions that it was a victory, but like, was it actually a victory? I thought just that was telling that like they got fucked up pretty bad.
Well, I think the whole plan from at least Cole's perspective, it was a trap. We wanted to draw them. We were attacking kind of a worthless castle on the coast, really close to Dragonstone.
Sure.
One that we know is held by a person who's on the Black Council, and we're pretty much just like pushing their buttons, asking them to send a dragon, and they had Vagar and wait.
No, I get it for sure, but I don't know. Obviously, it didn't go to Cole's plan.
Yeah, because it was a trade.
I also don't know if Cole was like waited, like, oh, let's let me or whoever shows up, let's let them burn half of our army before we summon Vagar. Like once you saw dragon wings, send that signal up. Let's go, Vagar. Like get your old ass up.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, and then that's when we see the casket, and I knew he was definitely alive when the casket had slits in it, like kind of like you bring a snake home from the vet or the pet store, and it has holes in the box type of thing.
For some reason, when I first saw the little crate, I thought it was Rhaenys' body. I was like, oh, that's fucked up. They're bringing the dragon head and Rhaenys' body. But then, like, once they showed the shot of Alicent and Aemon looking over, then I'm like, oh shit, this is Aegon. And then they like do the whole thing, bring him through the halls, put him on his bed.
Into the bed. Right. He wouldn't have been through that if he was dead. Right.
Helena is just like chilling. She does not seem like upset at all. Like she does not care.
Helena's a weirdo.
Yeah, she is weird.
And I was waiting for her to drop some like weirdo lines, and I didn't think of anything. Like obviously she comes in Aemon, like she knows type of thing. Like,
she comes up to Aemon later. Yeah, like was it worth it?
But it wasn't like, oh, look into these words. Like, what's it mean the next time we see this person? But all right, so Aemon and Alicent, she sees the dagger. And she's like, oh, fuck. I know this motherfucker. One, like, even if he came upon Aegon's body. I don't know why I said Aegon. Aegon's body. It's his dagger, right? You could at least put it with his sword, which I'm sure, who knows where that was. But to have taken it and to put it in your own belt, red flag, Alicent's on to you.
So real quick, this is something we talked about last episode. whether he was pulling his sword out or sheathing it when he was walking up to Aegon's body.
He was definitely sheathing it. I texted you. I agreed.
But I heard other people say that he was sheathing his because my question is, why did he have a sword out in the first place? There's no one over there. So, and I heard somebody, maybe it was in the Discord, somebody might have, while we were talking about it, but I heard somebody say maybe he was sheathing his sword. He had pulled his sword out to kill Aegon, and then as he's walking up, he sees the dagger on the ground, and he's like, I'll use that instead. And he's sheathing his sword because he's about to pick up the dagger to kill Aegon.
Yeah, interesting.
So he was going to kill Aegon, but yeah, so I don't know. It's just so another thought.
It also would be crazy to just give a stab wound or a knife slit and be like, oh no, he fell from the fall, but don't worry about.
Well, he landed on his dagger weird. He had his dagger out and he landed on it weird during the fall. Right. Yeah.
That's the way around it. So, she walks away. Casket's getting carried in. We do see Helaena. She's just kind of standing there, doesn't really care,
chilling.
Put the body on the bed. He's still alive. Maesters start pulling off. I thought it was a cool scene. They start pulling off the Valyrian steel.
I don't know why. For some reason, the state of Aegon's body after Rook's Rest is one of the things that I really like the most in the books. They say that his armor on his left arm is melted into his skin.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think it quite got there, but they did a pretty I'm satisfied
just
with the
even
grossness
that
of them pulling the armor off and you can see the it's almost
coming
it's
off
Sam doing the grayscale for Jorah. It's really gross.
I thought of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. It was giving me Anakin vibes.
Oh, he was like Harvey Dent.
Yeah, two-faced.
Also kind of like the Hound, at least his head.
Which did kind of turn away from the fire, which I'd be cool with, that deal. But it also was giving Viserys vibes. This was probably the bed that Viserys died in, right? He had half of his face burned or covered. Yeah. He's barely breathing. Alicent's at the bedside.
These Maesters, man, they've had their handful. Viserys has been dead for how long? A month? They've been on they're probably finally we don't have an intensive care patient to take care of.
Yeah. Viserys was on hospice for 15 years.
The Maesters had a month to breathe. Yeah. All right, Alicent goes and what do you have?
Well, Aemon walks up too, and he's standing at the foot of the bed, and he's
I have Aemon captain now. He's I'm in charge.
I'm ready.
This worked out swimmingly.
Yep. Kristen's cleaning his blade with a lemon. Yep, you love your lemon. It's just the beginning of Lemon Gate.
I feel like that's a thing I've heard before. Lemon and salt or lime and salt is how you clean the thing.
Well, I think lemon is just a good cleaner, right? Just in general.
Knights are always ready to do shots of tequila.
With the lime?
You got the lemon and salt.
Lime and salt?
Or you can use, I'm sure you can use lemon.
I'm sure you could, but...
Or I'm sure you can use lime to clean a sword.
Citrus.
It's all the same shit.
Is it, though?
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, cleaning his sword. Shut up. Cleaning his blade, Alicent wants to know what happened, and... Does he tell her the truth, but doesn't, right?
All I have is he doesn't rat on Aemon. And he said that Sunfire is kind of still alive, but not really. But he's he left a few men and Sunfire to defend Rook's Rest. He's Sunfire's dying, in the middle of dying, but for now he's defending.
Sunfire can't get up. If I see Sunfire fly again, I'm out. I'm out on the show. They probably should have put Sunfire out of her misery, his or her misery.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, in his the way he answered, he kind of plays it off later on too when he answers that oh my god, I'm just scared shitless of these dragons. We need dragons. Nothing else matters but dragons.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his take is. You're right. I know what you're talking about when we talk to Alicent in the yard later. I don't know exactly what his stance is there. I think he kind of feels responsible for stuff and maybe wants to pass that off to somebody else.
Yeah. I think it could have been easily said oh, I didn't see what happened up in the sky. I was busy fighting a war down below. But he made it seem no, I watched the whole fucking thing and it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you what Aemon did. All right. Alfred, again, just pissed at the council.
Yeah, so Black Council, this guy, Sir Alfred. I need to know who this guy is. Hold on. I got to Google this. I'm sure it's online by now.
It looks like his sigil is a dragon or something flying. It looks
like a cockatrice holding a snake. But I feel like the only house I know is a cockatrice is in Dorne.
Is that a chicken?
Sir Alf. It's like a chicken that breathes fire, I think. Baru.
He's dead. He might actually die before Bela then.
Yeah, his house is from the Westerlands. Okay.
Gotcha. But the big theme of this council is that like a woman can't lead the war, right? Like we need men to fight. You know, women can't do that. They can't make the decisions. They're too soft of heart. Which then,
well, Rhaenyra also just gets called out for. She's like, well, Damon left after some marriage conflicts.
Yeah, after you guys were fighting in your bedroom.
Yeah, he's like kind of blaming her, like, oh, you can't even like control your relationship, and that's kind of the issue, part of the issue here. And then he's like, yeah, females are bad at battle, and she's like, what are you talking about? Like, neither of us have done any battle.
I thought that was
stuff.
great. I thought that was awesome by her. Like, dude, shut up. You fought an attorney. Like, grow up.
I think she does feel self-conscious because she's not doing well when it comes to the battle stuff.
For sure.
But it's a good point.
For sure. And she knows she can't. She knows she can't, and she gets on it, which I really like that scene when she's talking to the White Worm. Like, she knows she can't fight like that. She knows she can only fight with Cyrax.
And she gets to, well, she says with Jace, I can't even fight with Cyrax because everyone's saying, like, oh, you're the queen, you can't do that. But, like, so I was thinking about this, too, when it comes to last episode, when they're like, oh, who are we going to send? Rhaenyra literally comes back she's like, hey, I was just in King's Landing to talk to Alicent. Yeah. And they're like, what? You risked your life. And they're like, okay, who are we going to send to Rook's Rest? And Rhaenyra's like, I'll go. They're like, no, you can't risk your life. It's like, what are we talking about? She just did. It's not like
they didn't vote on it, and it's a little bit different, but for sure. I'm with you.
Yeah, obviously, like, you don't just want to keep risking your life over and over. Like, doing it once doesn't make it better again. I get it, but like, it's such a double standard. It's so stupid. Like, if you really wanted to, you could, like you did with Alicent. You know what I mean? You're the queen. You're in charge.
Yeah, I mean, nobody, just like Aegon, though, no one's stopping you from getting on your dragon, but they're all like, well, fuck it. See you when you come back half-baked.
I thought that was going to get brought up, too. Like, Rhaenyra keeps saying, like, I can't go. I'm the queen. Like, Aegon just went. They know. Like, they were talking about Aegon on Dragonstone, so they know.
But I feel like Aegon riding in the battle is something that they would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, king. Like, go get him. Where it's
his dragon's smaller, less experienced, and younger. So I don't know. I feel like he has less of an excuse to be there than Rhaenyra does.
Yeah. Another point of this council is that Vhagar is tired from the battle, and they should get his ass now while they have a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know how to refuel. He got scraped up a couple times, but it didn't seem like, and he fell. He seemed like he flew away pretty strong, but maybe he just needs to like refuel. He needs some goats that they don't have.
Yeah.
Next scene, Baela and Jace. Jace is pissed because he hasn't done anything. He's like, I'm going to Harrenhal. We got to figure this shit out.
Check, going to the Twins. We're going to figure things out there. Because the North's coming down. They need passage. I don't think this really happens in the books. I think the Twins like do end up declaring for Rhaenyra, but I don't think like there's like a big thing. They just kind of like do. I like it though. It's obviously a callback to Game of Thrones. I think
it was cool. I think they did a good job with the one castle that they did okay with was the Twins. They're kind of missing the castle in the middle, which is where
the castle in the middle. It's a little bit small.
The one thing, he's also mad that Baela is able to fly around and do shit, and he's not. And he makes a good point too. Like, if I can't fight for my inheritance, like, what are we doing here? And I get all that. Like, to the point, like, you got to protect them, but also, like, you want your captain to be at the front, right? Like, you don't want your best player to be in the back or like waiting to play. You need the ball in their hand. Get the ball in their hands and put him on the field, coach.
I mean, it also just sucks for him that his dragon is not as good. Like, that matters a lot.
Yeah,
like, you're in another league.
But her dragon's not that much bigger.
Cyrax?
No. Baela's.
True. I mean, but neither of them are really being used for battle. Like, she's
at least let him get up there and scout around a little bit.
Yeah, I feel that.
Let him on the saddle. All right.
Damon, Caraxes.
All right, Caraxes with the Bracken Man. I thought the good scene by the Bracken Man. I would have been pissed if, as they turn around and say no, and Caraxes did like melt them to shit, that we didn't see the melting to shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this scene. Like, I feel like, again, like, I don't know. I feel like I know Damon, but again, it's from a history book, so I don't know the character anymore. I just feel like he would have burned these fuckers. Like, there's the whole thing in Tyr where Jaime shows up at the Twins, right? And they're doing the thing, and they're saying they're going to hang Edmure. And he's like, don't give false threats. If I tell you I'm going to slap you if you open your mouth again, and you open your mouth, what do you think I'm going to do? And the guy's like, and Jaime smacks him with his golden hand. He's like, I don't make idle threats. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Damon's like, I'm going to burn you fuckers. They're like, I'd rather be the Lord of Ash and Bones. And Damon's like, okay, they call my bluff.
I can see how that makes it weaker for sure.
Like, come on, that's a pussy move. And then he tells them to go to kidnap their kids. He's not clear about it, but is that the implication? Like, based on, there's a conversation later with Alice.
The implication is go steal their kids, rape the women, and steal their ritual stuff.
I think it was kidnap the children.
I don't understand, the Blackwood guy.
I think he basically said, go kidnap some Blackwood kids, and that's going to be our leverage. But in doing so, the Blackwoods took a lot of liberties and just kind of like took revenge under the name.
I mean, the Blackwood dude was like, oh, everybody has their weakness. But like, what they did could have been done to anybody. Like, that wasn't like a unique weakness. I thought that was weird. I thought they were going to like pull at some old heartstring.
Yeah, we don't know that character. We don't know his like what the weakness was.
You're just going to go rape and pillage them? Like, you were probably doing that anyway in the war. Like, what are we... so...
And it's not like Damon was helping them with his dragon, so like, why couldn't they have done this before?
How are they all of a sudden just so much better than...
Like, why couldn't they have done this before? What changed? I don't know. I thought it was weird.
I do think it was a little weird that they... all of a sudden we've overtaken them because we started stealing their kids. Like, how did they get that close if they had to cross over this rock wall and it was a huge battle? Like, let's come steal our kids.
How many people do we even have left? There was like thousands of bodies in that battle.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do these two small houses even have left? But whatever.
Yeah. So, but he does respect them because they don't want to bend the knee, and he's like, all right, like, we need them.
We need,
They have this weakness. All right. The Veil, your opinion. Do you want to give an opinion first?
Oh, man. What a dud. What's like a dud sound?
Awful.
Such a dud. It wasn't even on a mountain. It was just over a rock.
It was just
bridge.
like kind of a little goat path. It was up a goat path.
It was like a ravine.
What a joke.
Oh, man.
What if they're not getting eviscerated online right now for that cat? I was like, oh my god, that's not the Veil. And I knew it was the Veil.
I have never watched an anime before, but I've heard people say that like if Game of Thrones got remade, it would get remade in like an animated style. I would hope it'd be more like Clone Wars than it would be like an anime style. I don't know why. Like, I feel like something about just like super over the top anime stuff just doesn't do it for me. But like, I feel like at this point, the only way we're going to get really good.
I mean, the Clone Wars are like jumping like 100 feet in the air. So,
you know what I mean? There's like a difference between like the Japanese style. For some reason, I just don't like that. Again, I haven't really given it a shot, so I might. But like, it just doesn't seem to do it.
I mean, I'm just thinking of like,
I
think you're just thinking of like
boys.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, where it's like, phew, 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 and like shit's just like flying across your face.
I mean, that's a lot of all anime, though. I think. Again, I might have a bad.
I'm not an anime. Literally,
I have a lot of friends at work.
Anything.
I'm a software guy, so I have a lot of work friends who are anime guys.
Well,
I haven't given it
pigeonholing the anime fan base.
Anyone who does software will agree with me. I'm not going to get
Veil looks awful. Whoever this Aaron lady is, she's not.
Hold on. My point there was, people have said we're going to get potentially, if Game of Thrones were to get remade anytime soon, it would probably be in an animated way. I feel like if they did an animated Game of Thrones, that wouldn't be my cup of tea because I'm not a huge animated guy, but we could get some really cool
renderings. Be easier to get the renderings done.
Yeah, for sure. Sick.
So Aaron's not happy with Rhaena, who brought these two little pipsqueak dragons. I wish we saw the pipsqueak dragons just to see what they were like. And they had a good little conversation. Like, well, you fucked up. You didn't ask for Craxes. You just asked for a dragon. Here, you got two. Like.
Yeah, well, she's like, I asked for protection from dragons is the main thing I wanted. Dragon for protection from dragons. But yeah, Rhaena's like, I don't like being powerless. Or she's like, I don't like being powerless. Rhaena's like, yeah, me either. And the girl's like, okay, I don't care. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
End of scene.
Rhaenyra and the White Worm. Again, I mentioned this earlier. She's mad she wasn't trained to fight. Like, if she was a son, she doesn't want to bend to Damon.
Yeah, she's like, I can't ask him for help.
Yeah.
Well, we need to do something right now, but I can't go ask Damon for help because our last conversation kind of ended with like him being like,
you need me.
You need exactly. So
you can't do shit without me.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think she needs him. I think it's obviously a great ally to have. Like
obviously they would work way better together. And if it's I 100% agree. And if you look at Damon, it's not like he's working great solo either. Like together they would be a power couple. But like he's playing these fucking games and he's not getting anything done. She's not getting anything done.
Which they kind of were for a long time. They were power couple, like, wedding on. Like, you're like, oh, man, like, these two are going to be awesome together. And then, like, Damon fucked it up. Like, Damon's a fuck boy.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Rhaenyra said is like, you've just been using me to stay close to the throne, and like basically like they were a power couple when like nothing was changing when Viserys was alive. As soon as Viserys is dead and the throne's up for grabs, now it's like, okay,
now that old itch came back.
Every man for himself again, kind of. Yeah. And again, it seems like they're really leaning into that with Damon. But
yeah, I think one of the cooler parts comes up next when Viserys is like, yeah, Kristen Cole made a mistake. Like the people are scared about the omen that just went through. Like, we can fight this war another way. And boom, servant girl that got yelled at gets sent out, which was like, that's like the big mystery of this episode, right?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. They never finished where that was going. Yeah.
They kind of did, but we still don't know what's the point of it be done, right?
I thought like when there was the riot kicking off, and like when they're closing the gates, I thought maybe she was gonna pop up there and like be the one to like yell something to really stir the pot. But no, she shows up a little later.
If I had to guess, because we might as well bring it up, because the girl gets through the gates.
Yep.
I think somehow this girl's gonna tell her story with Aegon and how. And Aegon and Alicent's role in it, right, paying her off, and
so hold on, you're skipping that. What happens is the girl gets in, she talks to a gold cloak. The gold cloak, they all work for the White Worm or used to, and she's like,
I thought that was pretty bold of her to like just name drop this area, and it worked out.
We can meet an old friend, and then later
they take her to the girl's house that was pouring the wine that was raped by Aegon in season 1.
Yep, and did you point out that she was in last episode or 2 episodes ago?
One of our fans in Discord pointed it out.
Yeah, she was in the tavern when that guy was like claiming to be a Viserys'
bastard brother.
Yeah. So
which ties in I know now to the end of the chapter or end of the chapter. I'm just in book.
We'll get end of the episode. Yeah, we'll get to that.
So
the end of that Rhaenyra scene is they talk about the small folk that sent out the handmaid. You don't have to do it yourself.
Yep. And we're gonna win a war another way. They don't have the power. They're gonna win it with their rumor type shit. So yeah. I'll say, I kind of said what I think she's gonna just start spreading shit about what Aegon and Alicent did. All right, Rhaenyra and Baela, they're talking about how cool Rhaenys was. Some of the shit I didn't know. Rhaenys got Meleys, but Damon also wanted to get Meleys.
Damon had tried to claim Meleys before Rhaenys and failed, or Meleys wouldn't have him. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the books either. If it is, I forgot it. I didn't know that either. It's kind of a cool little fact.
So like, where was Craxes? Just like another dragon, like off and about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they were both.
None of these people hatched their dragons. They were all claimed.
Yeah, I guess those two.
Who was Viserys' dragon?
Viserys' dragon was Baelor the Black Dread.
Oh shit. So talking to about Rhaenys, like, man, she was badass. Like, she didn't always like me much, but like, I respected her, what she gave us in the end. Do you have anything on that conversation?
No. She gives him the box. Rhaenyra gives Baela a box and says, "Give this to your grandfather."
Did you know what it was?
Yeah.
Well, that means he accepted the hand.
I feel like it's kind of revealed in the episode. He like firmly grasps it.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
What happens to Corlys is definitely different in the books. It's kind of seems like he's very upset that Rhaenys died, which is kind of accurate in the show too. But like, we were kind of talking about this in the Discord in the Fire and Blood like chat. Like, they're like, who we gonna send? Rhaenyra's like, I'll go. Like, no, you can't. Jace's like, I'll go. No, you're too young. And Rhaenys like, I'll go. And Corlys is just like, doesn't say anything. Just like watches her leave. Like, okay, see ya. Have fun. And then she dies.
Yeah, like it's a ride around the park.
Yeah, in the books, like he gets very upset that she dies, and I feel like in the show, I'm like, well, that can't happen because he didn't seem to care.
He wasn't upset that he was leaving. Well, yeah, I don't know if he expected her to die. He didn't expect her to become.
Sure, but I don't think he was in that council, I guess. Or I don't know. Maybe not.
He was there, I think.
Yeah, but in the books, Rhaenyra's not. She's still like grief sick from Luke.
Right.
So like it's just Rhaenys and Corlys doing it.
They have to make
in charge of the council. So that she has to go because she's the only one capable. So afterwards, Corlys is like, "You are too fucked up. Like you can't even take care of the shit that like." That's kind
the wind is out of his sails, right? Because Rhaenyra volunteered. She's like, "Okay, I'll go," and they were like, "No, you can't." But if she was away crying and Rhaenys was like, "Okay, well, I have to go," Exactly. And then he could at least blame her for her death. Like, it should have been you type of thing.
And I think they give him the hand or like offer him the hand in order to like, well, how about this? Yeah. Like, sorry, how about you take
Who was the hand before? She just didn't have one?
She didn't have one, and that's kind of like a weird thing that she hasn't had a hand up to this point.
All right. Damon with the ghost. This is one of the weirder ones. Is this his mom?
Yeah, I think someone says that later. Is weird. I was like, "Dang, who's this girl? She's kind of like good looking." And
I thought it was. I thought it was Viserys' wife. I thought it was Emma.
Emma, yeah. Emma? She also. Someone also says later, "You never knew your mom." I feel like I know Damon's mom.
Yeah. When did their mom die? Like in Damon's childbirth?
Wait.
Damon's mom. When did she die? Did she die giving birth to him? How did he not know his mom? Or did he not know every side of her? He got to know her pretty good in his dream here.
She did know him. Yeah, she gave birth to Damon, and then and she had another son within a year, and they both died. Her and the other son. So yeah, he never knew her because she died when he was like a year or two old.
He was a young cat. Yep. So he decides to make out, dude. Whoever wrote this show. Not George. George probably has a thing about it too. Just givers, man. They like to go down. It's a season of going down.
Like to go down. Yeah. Did somebody else go down? I don't remember. But yeah, Damon was going. Oh yeah, Kristen Cole. Yeah,
it's been the season so far. Yeah, it's been 3/5 of the season is who's going down on who.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. He's a giver. She's basically, it's a weird dream. The whole time she's like, "Oh, you're better than your Viserys. You're better than Viserys. You should have been born
first."
And it's even weirder knowing that she's the mom. It's like literally a parent playing favorites. Like, "Oh, you're my favorite son. You're my favorite son."
That's why I thought like if it was Viserys' wife that's like pumping this in, which would have been their sister, right? Was it a sister?
She's Emma Aaron. She was half Targaryen.
Oh, she was half. Okay.
I think cousin. Yeah, so cousin.
Gotcha. Like that would have made sense. Like, oh yeah, like I liked you so much more than my husband, but like the mom aspect is weird.
Yeah.
But okay.
And it's like he's not even in bed anymore. He's just having these like dreams.
Yeah.
He's just like going into like Walter White fugue states. Like, oh, right. I just blacked out. Now we're at dinner.
Yeah. He was in bed at this time because he does wake up.
No, he wakes up at a table. He's at dinner. And Alice is like Alice Rivers, that weird girl's pouring water.
He's eating goat, right? Because he sees blood on his hand, but it's like the goat.
No, because he wipes his mom. I think it's before he goes his mom.
And
it looks like blood, but one of the things also from last episode, it looks like weirwood paste. Do you know anything about weirwood paste? If I say that, do you even know what I'm talking
about? Yeah, I think it's what they give Bran to start having visions, right?
When you say when Bran's underneath the tree, they start crushing up, I think, weirwood roots and acorns to make weirwood paste. But because weirwoods are have red sap, it looks like blood. So the drink that Alice Rivers was making last week and gave to Damon, a lot of people are thinking it's weirwood paste. It looks very red and thick and stuff. So when he's wiping his mom, it looks like there's seeds or lumps on it. I'm like, wait, is that blood or is it?
I'll have to see that in the rewatch.
Or is it weirwood paste? And then when he looks at his hand, there's actually no blood. He just wiped blood, but then his hand's clear, and then he's at dinner. And then Alice is pouring wine in the corner.
Yeah.
I also heard a theory. Has anyone else acknowledged Alice? Could she just be in Damon's head?
It's the Sixth Sense ghost.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't think. I don't think. Super
and she's been moving around like a ghost. She's been zipping and bopping too fast. It's a good point.
Yeah, so something to look out for.
Yeah, he's expecting the Brackens. He also wants everyone around them to bring all the wood and shit that you have. Bring your food.
Fix up Harrenhal.
We got to fix this place up. I'm gonna have an army here, and they're like, all right, how are we paying them? Because Larys gave away all of our money, and he's like, I'm not writing to Rhaenyra. I'm doing this shit. I'm the king. And I thought this was a bold ass scene. That makes me kind of get, if you're sliding the scale on who you like Damon has to slide back down a bit here, right?
The titles game.
Even if you kind of like them.
Yeah, I mean, I never like someone playing the titles game. It just kind of gives snob to me. I feel like you asked me this the other day, or maybe not the other day, maybe a month or two ago when we were talking about, might not even have been on air, but we were talking about Zoomer slang, and you were gives. You were trying to explain gives to me. You're like, oh, it gives.
Oh yeah.
Damon gives psychopath.
Yeah. It's giving.
It's giving something. Like I'm starting to
understand
that.
It's giving desperate. Like that's what people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's giving. I don't use this. It's giving jealous.
Damon's giving preppy, giving snobby, with his whole like call me Prince. Like yeah, exactly. Like when you're like somebody who's like actually I'm your grace, or actually I'm your lord, or actually call me sir, put a sir in front of me.
Off.
Like most of the time you're coming off as like a snob. You're giving snob.
Okay,
but I do again sometimes when Damon does it, it's kind of badass because he's like Prince and Damon's like Prince. He's like, what would you call the husband of a queen? And he's like, a king, consort. He's like, yeah, well, you can pretty much just drop that last bit.
Seems a little tedious.
Yeah,
which was funny. Like that part was funny, but then he was like, no, I'm gonna be king, which is just like fucked up. Like,
yeah,
like. There's a right way and a wrong way.
And we'll keep going. We'll get to Damon back a little bit later. Now we're back to Alicent and the council. And the Maester's basically like, yeah, Aemon's fucked up. He's alive. We'll see what happens with him. Who's in charge now? And they kind of take a vote. And Maester is the only one on Alicent's side. Everybody else, Ironrod, Lannister, Larrys, they all go. Aemon.
Weird-ass Aemon just sitting there smiling like, this is mine.
Again, this is the scene I was talking about at the beginning where he knew exactly what was going to happen. He was just kind of waiting for everybody else to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I love also Larry's here when they're like, Larry, who's in charge? And she's like, Larry's, you're my guy. And he's like, well, we are kind of doing the whole man over woman thing. We can't name a woman, or else we're basically saying Rhaenyra's and like
Rhaenyra could do it then.
Yeah. So she's like, so we got to go Aemon. He's like, but it's really not up to any of us. It all comes down to Kristen Cole because he speaks. He's the hand. He speaks with the king's voice.
The guy that's going down on you. Let's make him
exactly. Choose. He knows they're having like a
which
Rhaenyra
thing. Straight calls out. I think in maybe not the next scene, but it's very soon after. Like what? You just like to come knock on my door at night, and that's all I'm good for?
You're loyal at nighttime, is that what she says?
Yeah, so it was a great line.
Another Zoomer word. They have what you would call a situationship, right?
Yeah.
That's a situationship.
You're looking at, I guess, sure.
You're a college football coach. You should know the college slang lingo. Are Gen Zers in college?
If anything, it's more like Bravo TV lingo, which I watch my fair share of with my wife, so it's okay. All right. She made all good points. Just straight called out Aemon though in front of people.
Cool shot where after he gets in charge, he
picks up the ball.
I don't understand about this scene. Why was his ball not in his thing beforehand? Like he should have taken his ball. And
I don't think it was his ball. I'd be curious to see if there was a ball even in front of Aemon because he's not a member of the council, right? So I don't know if that was Aegon's ball. That's the king's ball. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So he picked up. Do you think that's more
ball is tied to the role, not to the person?
Correct.
I guess that makes sense. But like, what's Alicent like? She's not master of ships or something.
She was queen regent.
There's not a ball for that. Like her ball looked cool. It was white and green. I thought it was more her thing.
Is Aegon? How old is Aegon supposed to be? Like, is he old enough to be ruling on his own right now?
Yeah, I think so. He's like 21, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they made up some fucking title and she's got it, or she just like had a ball when she was queen regent and then queen consort or whatever it was when she was like ruling for Viserys. They gave her a ball and they were like, "All right, this is your ball," and she didn't give it back.
Yeah, however it works, it was cool when Aemon picked up the ball and like went over to the other side.
It would have been cooler if he like football like spun it in there instead of just placing it.
It was giving the scene where Tyrion moves the chairs around. The scene where Tyrion moves the chairs a little bit.
Not as cool though. Like again, if he
not quite,
touchdown spun it in there, I would have been like, "I'm here now, bitches."
Yeah.
He starts working right away.
Exactly. And again, this is where like pretty much they cover all the stuff from the books that I was hoping that they would go more in depth to. Like, oh, this road is going here. The Lannisters are marching on this. This is like I would have.
I didn't understand what was going on because we're just looking at Alicent while he starts giving commands out.
Yeah, I was trying to write it down. Riverlands. He's basically the Tullys are old, which is what Damon's dealing with too. He's like, Larry's, what's up with you? What's up with Harrenhal? Like the Lannisters are marching on it.
it was just confusing who he was talking to, and then, like, I didn't realize that the Lannister dude was the one that answered, like, "Oh, Jordan's marching on it now,"
or he has a twin brother.
I'll get my brother on it. Like, I thought Larys was talking about one of his brothers, and like, you burned all. Like, what is going on here? So I was just a little.
Yeah, it was weird.
I was a little confused until later on somebody says that the Lannisters were marching from the west.
But while all that's happening, the shot's like closing in on Alicent, and she's like, her head's just like, you can feel like the migraine coming on.
Yeah, for sure. So you said the Lannister marching, people are scared of the blockade now because they're running low on supplies.
Yeah, the people in the city. This is where he gives the command to close the gates.
Is this Aemon's first? Like, is this the first thing he did? Is that like
in the books? I think this is actually attributed. I think this is actually attributed to Alicent in the books.
Interesting.
So I don't know.
Okay. Family. It's the Smith family again, right? Is that what we're meant to believe?
Yep, Hugh.
Oh, you know this guy.
He says his name. He does say his name in the very first council chamber. Okay. He has a nickname that I'm not saying, but yeah, Hugh is what we know so far.
So he's gonna do something cool.
I mean, they're focusing on him.
I mean, his daughter doesn't look like she's gonna make it much longer.
The shot of her at the gates, holy shit! Like, she looked.
I think she was dead. Body. She had no blood in her body. That blood was drained.
Great. She's a White Walker.
Yeah. So she's the first white. She's actually the Night King.
Yeah. But we get the motive. So we're not quite there yet, but we get the motivation for that here. Like, yeah, she's fucked up. They don't have enough money. They never got paid. And the wife's like, let's get the fuck out of this city. And
let's go to Tumblestone.
Yeah. He was basically like, okay, it's time to go.
Yep. Alicent and Cole, this is where he's like, yo, what's going on? Like, you come knocking on my bedroom door at night and you're loyal to me then. But she obviously said it a lot cooler because she used it. She talked like in metaphor.
Yeah. He's like, what's the deal? Why don't you like back me? He's like, you don't understand. Rook's Rest was horrible. The dragons are in charge now. We need a person in charge who has a dragon.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he like levels with her.
Which is probably true.
And he's like, I'm sparing you. Like, what comes next is like, we're gonna do bad shit, and you don't want that blood on your hands. Like,
it doesn't look like she's that scared of it though.
Yeah, I think she's kind of like already like I'm already.
I'm in. Like, I had the chance to like sue for peace, and we're here, right? So
exactly, in for a penny, in for a pound.
And I thought it was one cool line. She was like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, Aemon has a dragon. Like, he's a good fighter. But, like, what about, I don't remember the adjectives she said, but, like, intelligence, justice, basically. And like, just like, having a mind. But
isn't there a line in Game of Thrones where someone says, like, maybe it's when Ned is trying to back Stannis or something, and he's like, he's a good military mind, and someone's like, do you still think good? Renly says it to Ned, like, do you still think good fighters make good kings? Right?
Yeah, I don't know if Renly said that, but I that's the scene that I would guess if it.
I think Renly says it to either Ned or Cat.
So, all right, gates get closed. Yep. Everyone's confused about if Aemon was in command. Was Aemon Aegon?
Yeah. Did they get out? That family?
No, nobody got out. Don't look like. And then we see the dying girl, and then they just cut away. So
yeah, okay.
All right, Jace is at the twins. They're scared of Vhagar. Jace, obviously. Jace says, yeah, which is kind of fucked up. But like, obviously,
I mean, he could fuck him up.
He could definitely burn him, right? Like, all right, like fly over here, Dracarys.
They talk about these things being like nukes. He's like. They're like, we're afraid of the really big nuke. And he's like, well, I have a nuke that's big enough right over there. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Is he big enough though? Like,
right.
I feel like those dragons might be able to get a couple arrows in them.
If they have scorpions, then they're definitely in trouble. But I don't know about arrows. Arrows.
Yeah.
If Jace is on it, then Jace is in danger of arrows for sure. But
yeah. But like Vhagar obviously is like, he's back like Aegon's Conquest. Like, we're gonna burn this castle to the ground.
If Vhagar landed on the bridge, the bridge would collapse.
Right. And who is this? Veraxes?
Vermax?
Vernax? Like, Vermax is like knocking over a couple stones when he lands.
Yeah, exactly.
So they want the protection. He promises his own, and then also says that Damon will help.
Yeah, they're signing up Damon, even though they don't know if they can actually do that.
Damon's running around chasing ghosts right now. And then they want Harrenhal. They're again... ballsy.
Yeah, phrase one.
Who wants? Why?
It's like supposed to be the seat of the Riverlands. Like the Tullys weren't in charge of the Riverlands
until the shit was burned to the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, the Freys want it now, and they don't know that place is a dump with no money. But
yeah. But Jace's like, okay, well, you got it if you join us. It seems like what he says. Like, you got to give us your men instead of just let us cross the bridge.
Which is interesting, because I don't know of the Freys ever getting Harrenhal, so...
Interesting. Do they get it and lose it, or...
I don't know.
Yeah. So, next scene, we cut to Harrenhal, and we're fixing it. Damon's breaking his back, cutting firewood.
Yeah, he's got
he hears
blisters.
Screams when he's swinging the axe. Looks over his shoulder. There's Alice Rivers.
Alice is there.
Yep. And she basically says, I hear things from the wind.
Yeah.
She gives him news. I have news. He's like, where do you get news from? She's like, I hear things from the wind. Sounds very Ghost of High Heart-ish.
Right.
Right?
You know what I've said before about
who's
the
a
old
magic
gods.
character from the books. If you haven't read the books, if you're only a show person. Yeah, go ahead.
The old gods and the wind is how they communicate, right? I said that before.
You actually straight up that was a big early Jeff theory by you, yeah. I mean, OSHA says it, but you're a big.
It's not a theory; it's the truth. I was nailed
you don't think
into
it's you don't think it's like an exaggeration like most people do.
No,
I think it's straight up for real.
No, Alice is hearing she's an old god dog, and we know that all the heart trees are right there, right at the God's Eye.
And I was wondering, like, what is she saying? Like, what is she saying she's hearing? And she's basically, because I was like writing stuff down, like she's saying...
Well, she's hearing that there's children being stolen and that there's women being raped and yada, yada, yada. And I like the message here. Like, look, you're trying to win these people over through fear and power, right? And then you're going to rule over them under fear. And then that's like the only thing you have over them. Like, you're not going to do it well. Which is weird because it just gives me back to like, oh, you're going to die here type of statement. Like, why does she care? Like, is she trying to teach him a lesson? And does she actually care if she knows he's going to die? You know, why is she spending so much time on, like, trying to change his character?
She's trying to fix him. She's all these girls that fell in love with Damon after season 1. Like, I can fix him.
I can do it.
Alice Rivers. Or she's in his head, like I alluded to earlier.
There was some weird sexual tension there, too, and I'm like, I just can't. Like, Damon's got, like, 7 girlfriend ghosts, and he has a wife at home. And now he's giving like sex lives to Alice Rivers about this conversation. Like, back up, get a little space between your faces.
Yeah, and it's just weird that she knows stuff she shouldn't. Like we said earlier, like how does she know that he never knew his mom? I didn't even know that, but Alice Rivers knew that.
Yeah, I mean, is she the blood raven at this point? Right? She's already zipping and bopping around. Is she Bran yelling at Ned? You know, before blood raven, she's Blood Raven 3.0.
What do you think about the magic? Like they did not have this level of magic in Game of Thrones. Even in like later seasons, I don't even know how. Like this is top. This is as.
What do you mean by magic? Like just knowledge of the past, or
just in terms of like the stuff that like Bran and Blood Raven do in the books compared to the show? It's like very. I feel like dumbed down in the show than it is in the books, and I feel like they're leaning into it pretty hard here. Like. And like I said, it's a history book, so we really don't know. We know that the Alice Rivers, who was like a woods witchy type person that was at Harrenhal at the same time Damon was, like that's pretty much what we get. So like they're kind of running with it, and I like it, but like I just wonder what you thought. I feel like they're leaning into magic way more than they did in Game of Thrones.
Sure, yeah, I would agree with that. But I mean, Bran and who we think is Blood Raven is a big part. So I don't know exactly about that because Bran ends up like saving the day. I think Bran is just like at least Alice Rivers is like kind of normal while being weird as fuck. Bran was just like a weirdo when he became Blood Raven.
True. So. Okay. I think the end of that conversation is they hear that they got the Brackens. Right?
Again, I'll just say it again. I don't know the point of why Alice is trying to like character fix Damon when the first thing she says, "You're gonna die here."
Yeah, it's like we know it's a pointless cause if that's true. Yeah. Just wasting our time. Next scene, I do think this was the best scene. And at first I was like, who cares? Like, come on. Like, Corlys, you let her go.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be sad about it when you watched her leave and I didn't say anything about it.
No, that's bullshit. Like, they're in a war, right? They're in a war. It's, you know, you're sending your troops out. Again, I just want Corlys to do something. Corlys hasn't done shit in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Right? Do something, Corlys. You're this great guy from Driftmark. We even hear about the stories of him, right? Of going out and getting all this shit back and bringing it back to, do something, Corlys.
Well, so that was one of the cool parts of this scene, right? So she comes up, and that was one of the first things Baela says, like, you've done all this, like, quit moping, you've done all this, you've done all this, you've done all this. And it was all for her, right? Implying that all you did it for Rhaenys. And he's like, she's like, you can be Hand, and he's like, I don't want to be Hand and serve the person that basically caused my wife to die. And Baela's like, she died how she wanted to die. Like, she didn't do anything she didn't want to do.
I thought it was a badass scene for Baela. He also says that he'd rather run west. He's another one that just wants to go west of Westeros. No one knows what's out there. Yeah. Baela calls him out from like, we've known you to do that before. You like to run away. Yeah. Right. Just as all pirates do. He's a pirate.
Because when things got hard last time, then he just go in the books when things get hard, he just like goes to the stepstones and fights. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it happened last season too. Yep, and he comes back injured.
But yeah, Baela calling him out, saying like that's how Rhaenys wanted to go. That's why I say again, like she kind of went like, oh no, we have to attack Meleys, and like accepted it. But it would have been dope if she kind of like smiled, like, all right, let's go. This is how we're going out. It's gonna be awesome.
That's one of the other things people don't like about. I didn't mind it either way. I thought it was kind of repetitive how they did the whole like look and turn twice. Like, okay, we're gonna face our death twice. Where in the books, the one line we get is, "And how would you know? How would the fucking Maester know what's happening way up in the sky?" Right?
Well, he's watching. She had
the line we get is with a glad cry and a crack of her whip. Rhaenys turned Meleys in. So a glad cry is different than like the sad look towards.
Sure.
Slightly different. It's like she knew what was happening, and she was like, fuck it, we ball type thing. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it.
Like Jack Sparrow when he stares down the
Kraken. Exactly.
The Kraken. Like that was like, all right, beastie, let's go. Like she could have dropped an all right beastie and it would have been better in my book.
Exactly. I agree.
But then she's like, yeah, my mother died with Dragonfire too, and that's how I want to go out. Like I'm not dying in my bed at old age. Like we're going out with Dragonfire. Yeah. Just badass. Like Baela got some more. I'm sad to see her go soon. Like she probably only got an episode or two left.
I'm listening to the audiobook of Feast.
Did you just confirm?
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry. You only got an episode. Yeah, she has to go soon. I've been listening to the Feast of Crow audiobook, because we're about to get into that book, and not pretty kind of early on. Asha has a chapter with a guy from the Iron Islands who's a big reader, and she's like, "Let's go to the King's Moot," and he's like, "No, that's a bad idea." And she's like, do you just want to die here in your bed? And he's like, yeah, I do. Once I'm done reading my books. And she's like, I want to die with a deck under my feet. Like, so you have the people on different sides. But yeah, Baela and Rhaenys, Lena, they're on the I want to die on Dragonback.
Yeah, for sure. And then as she's walking away, he's like, hey, I want to make you my heir. Which is kind of weird because I have a question. Are they married yet, her and Jace?
No.
They're not. She's not like princess to be yet, or...
Well, she's Lena's daughter.
I know she's Lena's daughter, but she's going to be married to Jace, but Jace is the prince and heir to be.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She would be princess to be.
Yeah, we talked about this last time. That's a good point. Yeah.
But she's not yet, so I don't know. Maybe the title just would go to her first son then at some point or whatever.
Because right now it's passing. It should go. It should have gone to Luke, right?
No, I know.
But now it should go to Joffrey, I guess technically. But they talked about that last episode. Like, Joffrey doesn't know a boat.
Right.
Joffrey's Rhaenyra's other son who's in the Vale.
It almost sounds like the Valerians can just pick their heir, which I don't care. Do whatever you want to do with your house. But we know one guy tried to stop that, and he got his head chopped off.
Yeah, that guy should have just laid low and hung out a couple years.
He could be running Driftmark right now.
Exactly.
She's like, nope. Sorry, grandfather. I'm of blood and fire. Fire and blood. You need someone of Salt and Sea. Mic drop.
Who we gonna get? Who's gonna get named? Who's of Salt and Sea?
One of these bastard guys, Alan.
Okay.
Alan or the dread-headed guy.
Baldy or dread-headed?
What's who? Alan and
Adam.
Alan and Adam. I think I know a spoiler, and I'm beefing with it pretty hard, but I'll save it till it comes.
Okay.
Do you know kind of what I'm talking about?
We could save it, talk about it afterwards.
All right. Well, this is not. I'll just see if it comes.
Yeah. Next scene. Rhaenyra is sending off Sir Alfred.
Yep. Sending his ass to Harrenhal.
Go get Damon. You bitched about us not having Damon. Okay, you can go get him. She's really nice about it, but that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah, and I think she does give him like, look, I get what you're saying, but I'm here, right? I'm trying. Help me try.
Yeah.
Go do this thing for me. Good luck.
I think she's very logical. He's like, is this you trying to get rid of me? And she's like, yo, I'm not gonna lie about this. Like, you've been pissing me off.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great.
But like, that's not the main reason. The main reason is Damon. It's a side effect. It's a benefit.
Yeah, and then his message from her to him is, I want to finish our last conversation, which is given that they're never. It's giving. Oh God. See what you did. It's telling me that they're not having another conversation.
Everyone's dying.
Everyone's dying before. I don't even know who's going to be left in season 3 because they're all
people
dead.
think it's going to go 4 seasons too. So
yeah, well, Joffrey and the other young kids better start growing up because they need to die too. We're not killing more kids. All right, Damon's dreaming again, but it's not really a dream, right? He's just kind of in bed.
Is it a dream? I don't know. Is the whole thing a dream?
He's like closed in bed, and then he's like in bed not closed.
But is the whole thing a dream?
What is in a dream nowadays? Oh, is the Brackens being there a dream?
Is it just the Brackens too? Because he says the River Lords. Is it? But then it seems like it's just the Brackens, and they're basically like, we actually hate you. Like, we're not joining you.
It's a good point. I didn't think about it being all a dream, which would make more sense. So, like, how'd they get there that quick? Why isn't the Blackwood guy here defending himself?
None of it really made sense.
Do you think it's a dream? Are you on dream or?
I have no idea. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I thought it was really weird.
I'm gonna say I'm now gonna lean. It was all a dream, and it's gonna like at some point these dreams are just gonna continually fuck with Damon until he has to do something.
I feel like the fact that it's not clear it's all a dream probably means it's not, because like a lot of fans wouldn't guess that. Like, how would you make that clear next episode? But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of the way that the girl during like the hey, we find out kind of what's been going on here. We've hit on it already, like what's going on in Brackenland. The girl comes up like, we're not gonna follow you. Like, it was just kind of like in a weird, he was fucked up state. Like, it was like, I'm in a drunk state right now as you're talking to me.
Something that I've heard some people criticize, maybe it's Preston Jacobs, but like, and I wish he never would have said it, because I feel like I didn't realize it at all until he said it, and now he said it, and now I can't unsee it. But like, I feel like every character is just not at all like they were last season. Like, Damon speaks up about Rhaenyra being a whore, and he cuts his head off in the middle of a council chamber. This random River Lord woman, way lower status than, we don't even know who she is, than Damon, walks up and is like, you're a tyrant, I'll never kneel for you. And he's just like, ah, and like leans against the wall. It's like, no, he would fucking kill this girl or something. Well, like, what are we talking about? Like, and like the whole like him not going in to kill do the blood and cheese thing himself.
I don't know if you could say that about every character. You could definitely say Damon, maybe not as quick to pull the trigger.
People are saying that about Aemon too, and I think it's kind of switching. But like, Aemon went from like this like mysterious badass to like being held, and I think you can do both, right? You can have the badass, and I think
that's just showing the other side of him, because he did just go kill his brother then right after that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I think he's come around to be
maybe
both.
Not killed him, but
but I think there is a lot of like, I think maybe that's one of the downsides of having different directors for every scene. Like, yeah, the writing is kind of a through line, but you can like portray it in different ways.
Yeah. One thing about this weird state is he does dream that Lena's with him again. Yep.
She's there
and
again.
She asked about their girls, which is a good point. Like, he's got a bunch of kids that he don't really give a fuck about.
And Lena's dead. And now Rhaenys was kind of the one taking care of him, and she's dead. So like, yeah, now who's up?
Brackens. My note was the Brackens won't bend, whether that's real or not, or it's all the River Lords. Who knows what the fuck's going on? Switches to him on the wall, then Rhaenyra's on the wall, and then she just gets her hair combed real quick.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a braid. I would actually been kind of hype if she got a braid, because I made the note that like when she's got a braid, they do some dope ass shit. But no braid.
My Danny.
This is when the servant girl gets to the gate, and she uses the White Worm name to get her in with the gold cloaks. We mentioned that was kind of a bold move.
Yep. Talk about that.
People are also cut to riding in the night. Did you see that? Is that Alfred?
I thought I didn't notice. Maybe I was writing. I thought the streets were pretty.
It's somewhere else.
Empty.
It's like through the woods. It's like 6 nights riding through the woods. Which
I missed it. I don't know.
You missed it for sure. I think it's Alfred going to Harrenhal.
Okay.
But I don't know. I can't confirm. I was hoping you were going to confirm.
The next thing I had was a really quick scene of Corlys clutching the hand pin.
Yeah.
Like, look at that's the next thing I.
Well, the girl goes to the girl that got raped by Aegon. That's how that first scene.
Oh yeah, I had all that one thing. I had handmaid showed up, gold cloak, raped by Aegon.
Yeah, Corlys is with the hand pin. I guess he's going to take it. Aemon is now staring at the throne, and Sis comes up behind him with was it worth the price?
Yeah.
Aemon don't give a fuck about Aegon, and Helena don't really give a fuck about Aegon either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
When she asked that, though, it cuts to Aegon, and we get like the best picture, the best look at him. And he is fucked up. He's like really half.
I forgot to mention it. Them snapping his leg back into place was a wild.
Yeah, his knee. Yeah.
They ain't worried about no ACL, and I guess not anymore. He ain't walking again.
He's gonna need a wheelchair, yeah, Bran style.
If he does walk again, I'm not watching this show. I'll say that point blank.
There you go.
Okay. And then it's Aegon, Alicent looking over him. He kind of like, as she was walking away. I don't know if he actually said a word. I'll let you know in my rewatch if I can make something out.
I was probably writing something down. I missed that.
But I also, what I thought was going to happen. Are you on the same page as me?
I know what happened, so I don't know.
Yeah, that sucks. Right, it sucks that you don't. That sucks that you already know. Don't you? You just missed the mystery. I thought Alicent was about to strangle him with a pillow.
Daenerys style.
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean, we do know she walked away, but I was like, oh damn, is she about to kill him? But then that would like kind of literally just give it to Aemon, which I don't think she wants.
No, I was getting actually I do know what you're talking about. I was getting the actual opposite vibes. You know what I was thinking, and maybe it's just because I watched Saving Private Ryan recently. But you know that scene in Saving Private Ryan where the guy they're in the church, I think, and he is telling a story about like how when he was a kid, his mom used to work late, and he would always try and stay up late and wait for his mom, but he would always fall asleep.
Yeah.
But if he would pretend to fall asleep, or like one time he pretended to fall asleep, or sometimes he would pretend to fall asleep, and if she got home early, he would pretend. He's like, I would wait up all night, but then like if she got home earlier, I would pretend and like right now I would give anything to not pretend to have fallen asleep and have that conversation with my mom. I was getting the opposite vibes where Alicent's looking at her son who's fucked up in a coma, might never wake up again, and then you think back to that scene where she walks in on him and he's crying, and she's like, I don't want to deal with this, and goes and fucks Kristen. In my head, I'm getting I wish I had that moment back from Alicent. Like I fucked up.
Yeah, I mean that could be true too. But
yeah,
I was saying like she was kind of looking at him like, damn, like you're really fucked up. Like
fuck it.
Well, like what's your like we know kind of how they look on injured, crippled people like this dude.
Joffrey style. Yeah. Mercy.
Yeah, right.
Arya style. Mercy. Yeah.
Arya style. I think you saying Joffrey style would probably fuck most people up because I don't think most people.
Joffrey style because he's in the books. He's supposedly the one that sends the dagger after Bran.
Yeah. So
because Robert was saying that they should kill children who are injured. Joffrey heard it.
Last scene. Jace comes back to Rhaenyra. She's reading a book about Visenya. I didn't really understand. Like Jace was like, "Oh, don't do her." Like she was a badass woman, right?
Yeah, she was a badass. But after Aegon died, she kind of supported Maegor, who was a bad egg.
Was Maegor her son?
Yeah, exactly. Aegon had a son with each of his two sister wives.
Yeah, what was the other girl's name?
Maegor was the younger, Rhaenys.
And which one was like the warrior was Visenya?
Right? Rhaenys, the same as Rhaenys that just died. So it gets confusing. But yeah, that was Aegon's sister.
Different people, same name.
Same name, different people. Yeah. Rhaenys.
Visenya is the one that carried the sword, right? She mentioned that, which is who Damon carries.
Exactly. She rode Vhagar and carried Dark Sister, which is the sister that Damon carries, dragon that Aemon rides. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So they talk about what happened at the Twins, and then Rhaenyra goes into like, oh my gosh, like I'm mad. I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad because like I'm not able to do shit. Like even you found a way to do stuff, and I'm just sitting here reading books.
And again, I was getting kind of pissed here because I'm like, you went to see Alicent. Why are you okay to go above everyone's head to do that and not to do dragon stuff? Right. But okay, whatever. It seems like it's actually up to you at the end of the day. And I understand it might be dumb, but it was done with Alicent too then.
It was her last shot at peace, right? It's her last shot at peace. Now they're in the war. Like, in her own mind, she's playing a little bit closer to the chest, I think, now. She felt pretty safe going into
I understand what you're saying, but to me, it's not that different enough to make.
Sure. All right. She needs dragons. We get the names of the two that are underneath them, Vermithor and Silverwing.
Yep. We have dragons. We need riders. It's kind of what they say, right?
Yep. So Jace brings up Rhaena. I don't know why she's so against it. Like, oh, she almost died the last time.
Well, yeah, she tried. I think that's a good answer. People have wondered this. Why don't we have Rhaena mount one of these dragons? Like, well, last time she tried, she almost died.
When did she try, though? We didn't see that, though.
We never saw. But
did she try to mount Vhagar?
She probably tried to mount one of the two underneath, Vermithor or Silverwing.
I don't think she did.
We didn't see it, but I think what they're implying. And
yeah,
it seems like
I would have said maybe Silverwing.
Yeah,
or not Silverwing. I mean, who's the Laenor's one? Is that Silverwing?
Sea Smoke.
They also have Sea Smoke flying around.
Sea Smoke.
No one really gives a fuck about.
Exactly. They got lots of dragons, no riders.
But we have other children. We have other cousins, basically, right? Is kind of what they get to.
Distant relations, yeah.
Which
that's kind of what they say.
Oh, let's look through the whole history. But I'm just curious how they're going to find this bastard brother. Obviously, he's coming, right? They wouldn't have mentioned him without him being one. He was on Team Rhaenyra. He's half Targaryen. Then I'll just say, you can take this out if you want.
Hey all, Editing Nelson here. Jeff starts getting into some minor spoilers from probably what's going to happen in the next episode based off some stuff I guess he saw on Twitter. There's not much really left in the episode, so if you don't want any spoilers and you haven't read the books, you might just want to call it here. If you're not afraid of some minor spoilers, or you might already have been spoiled on what Jeff's alluding to, you can probably guess. Then yeah, feel free to stick around. If not, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. See you on the next one. Back to the episode.
Alan or the other guy, the brother, I don't know why, Adam.
Yeah.
One of them's gonna ride Sea Smoke, and that's stupid in my mind. You could tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I don't know what they're gonna do in the books. In the books, it seems that they're leaning towards their Corlys bastards. I think I said this in the show last time when we find out that they're bastards. I think in the books, it's more likely that they're Laenors, which again gives them more Targaryen blood, so that they could be dragon riders. Corlys can't ride a dragon
because Laenor is Rhaenys' son.
Exactly. So like, how is Corlys can't ride a dragon? So is that why you're saying you don't like the idea that one of them could be a dragon rider? I agree with that.
I know one of them is going to be a dragon rider, and if they're Corlys' son, I can't support it.
I kind of agree with that. I have looked at Corlys' family tree because of this idea, and there are a lot of unknown wives in the family tree, where all the Valerians are Valerians on the male line, but there's a lot of like unknown wives, and it is mentioned a lot in Fire and Blood that like Targaryens and Valerians intermarried a lot because they are two of the three remaining Valerian. So it's possible that one of these there are three that I saw in the last like 4 generations, unknown wives married into the Valerian family. Okay. Very possible one of them is a Targaryen, but I agree. I think it doesn't make as much sense unless they I think they need to explain it somehow. I also explained that. Yeah, never mind. We'll wait to future point to talk about some of that.
Yeah, I kind of would rather have like Rhaenyra like be jumping back to back of the 3 cool ones. I don't want these random people to get the 2 cool new dragons. Like if they're the 2 biggest next dragons, like and we'll just get some guys. It's like signing a free agent off the street and be like, here, you're our quarterback. When you got people that have been in the huddle. So
I don't know how they're gonna do this. Again, it's interesting because in the books, what they say is like basically Jace is like, Rhaenyra is sad and she's not dealing with anything. So Jace is in charge. And Jace is like, we need riders. And Mushroom, who's the dwarf, who is like kind of where we get a lot of the history, he's like, well, you dragons spill your seed a lot of places. Like look in the gutters that's kind of it's not like, oh, let's look in the history, like
not look in the scrolls of our family tree. Let's go find the.
And it was said that the Lord's right to the first night. Explain what that is.
It's when the Lord at a wedding could bang the wife first.
It's the Braveheart law, yeah, where the Lord of the town gets the first right to sexual relations with any wife that gets married in the town. And we hear that Queen Alysanne basically forbid that because that was a big thing that happened in the North, and she kind of forbid that. But in the books, we hear that Queen Alysanne would have been not happy to hear that that happened on Dragonstone more than anywhere. And even after that was banned, the common folk really didn't mind sleeping with Targaryens because it was kind of accepted that Targaryens were closer to gods than men.
Yeah, you were sleeping with the dragons.
Again, this is from the history book, so who knows if this is actually what the people thought. The history said that the people didn't mind sleeping with Targaryens whenever they wanted, pretty much. So pretty much they say, hey, there's you guys have your genetics all over this island, just in bastards and shit. Like, go find them there. It's kind of what Mushroom says.
Right.
I think they try and keep it a little more civilized in the show. Like, oh yeah, we can look at the lineages for distant cousins is kind of what it's implied. Again, who knows? Maybe they will find like a Tarly, which is what they said. Like, what, we're gonna have a Tarly ride a dragon? Like, kind of cool. Have Sam on a dragon. Maybe they will. Who knows? And some of these other characters who are in the books kind of play some of these roles. Who knows? But yeah, it's weird. Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna make that make sense. Because like you said, even this guy, like, how are we gonna? That guy's not in a scroll anywhere, right? This guy who's talking about being a bastard brother of Viserys, he's not in a scroll anywhere. No way.
Right. Yeah. How do you prove it? Again, we don't have the DNA kits. And he doesn't look anything like. Which again, I mean, Jace would be like, "Well, fuck, I don't look like you either." You know, I thought more and more that I wish, because I saw like what characters should look like. Like if Rhaenys was dark haired, I thought that would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's also Rhaenys supposed to be dark haired because her dad is a Baratheon, or her mom's Baratheon,
and the seed is strong.
Exactly, but I understand why they didn't do it in the show. In the show, it's not as important in season 2, but in season 1, it was really important that Rhaenyra's 3 children stick out like sore thumbs. So you can't have Targaryens that are true Targaryens with black hair, and then have Rhaenyra's children having black hair be like a huge sign that they're not Targaryens. Because
were Rhaenys' kids like Rhaenys had brown hair, but were all of her? But was Laenor white haired?
Even in the show, he's white haired, right? Because they're Targaryens.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
But she's white haired, and Corlys is white haired.
Again, I was reading Feast. Even Cersei, there's actually a bastard Valyrian, Euron Waters. He's a bastard from a Valyrian lord. She thinks he looks like Rhaegar, right? So Valyrians look like Targaryens.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool that, so Laena and Laenor both look like Targaryen-ish, yes. Right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't, which if she's the only sore thumb, I don't think it's that. I think it's like, damn, like what the fuck happened to Rhaenyra's kids? But okay, maybe it's at least given the possibility that.
Well, there's a few here and there, like Egg's brother Daeron, the one who has dreams. He has brown hair,
but he had a white stripe in his hair.
There's a stripe, yeah. But like, you know what I'm saying?
All I'm saying is, I think it would be cool if it's like, oh, like it's still that like, oh shit, why are these kids dark haired? If you have white hair, mom and dad, like the odds of that doesn't add up. But then at least you could turn to like, well, maybe there's a slight possibility because here's Rhaenys, which again, like I'm not getting into all the genetics of the possibility of hair color, but the fact that like Jace and Luke and Joffrey are the only dark haired is just like.
Well, again, it doesn't matter anymore, but I think it was a little more important in season.
It matters.
But yeah.
All right.
So I think that'll be interesting. Well, I think that'll be a major focus of next episode is let's get some riders for these dragons.
And then are we just gonna see them like get practicing riding dragons? That's gonna be the episode. Take them through the dragon riding course.
Well, again, like in the books, in the show, it seems like they're gonna like go head hunting. Like let's look at the scrolls and send some ravens. In the books, kind of like I explained, it's like, hey, let's just have tryouts. Like, hey, if you claim to have Targaryen blood, come prove it. You know what I mean? If you can do it, you got a dragon. If you're on our side, it's kind of how they do it in the book. So
that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. It's kind of like the Eagles Open tryouts and like, all right, fuck it, we need players. Maybe there's a Mark Wahlberg out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And by that I mean Vince Papale, the GOAT. So
yeah, I'm guessing they're gonna have to end up doing something like that in the next episode. But yeah, who knows? Maybe
I just want to see these cool dragons. I want to see Vermithor's big ass and Silverwing.
We'll see them.
Let's get them out there. All right, signing off.
See you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye.